Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. How are we? How are we? Well, it's pretty obvious. I don't know how to do that type of live, but hey. So let's just see if we can get this straight. How's everybody doing tonight? How's everybody doing tonight? Let me mute this one. Okay. All right. How's everybody doing tonight? Tonight. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we should all be rejoicing and glad in it. So, we are here for another segment of Friday Straight Transparency, and today we're going to be talking about give me some space. Give me some space. How many of y'all need some space sometimes? How many of y'all need some space sometimes? Hey, Jesse, it's good to see you. Long time, long time. Um, so I wanted to make sure that I can come on and give you some of my experience. And remember, I told you everything that I talk about on Friday Straight Transparency is something that I've actually dealt with. So I got this new computer, y'all. So please, all technicalities and dysfunctions, y'all just take it in love, y'all. I'm still trying to work all this out. One of these days, I'm gonna get to a point to where somebody else doing it. So give me some space. Now, y'all know how Friday Straight Transparency go. We keep it real, we keep it transparent, and we keep it straight truth because we don't need to lie to you about anything, but we need to be real to you about everything. Some things we share when we need to. Some things we share not at all, not until the time is right. But nonetheless, this is what we do. So if y'all on here, I see some of y'all on here. Thank you for joining me. Y'all hit that share button. Let somebody else share this with somebody else that might need to hear this, that might need some direction in this, because y'all know how y'all is when y'all resilient and y'all vigilant and y'all just want to work, work, work. Oh, we got that habit of work ethic that that's what we do. Work matters, nothing else matters. So we've all been in a place, but sometimes we get in that place because we ain't following directions. Sometimes we get in that place because we wasn't called to it. So I want to break all that down to you. So first, I give honor to Christ, who's head of my life, and to my bishop, Chris Holloway, Senior and Elder Holloway, Serena Holloway of Divine Worship Center in Knoxville, Tennessee, who are my leaders and right now overseers, because I'm also a member of the Divine Covenant Fellowship as well. So I pay homage to Bishop Gianni Robinson and his wife, and Apostle Flanders and his wife as well. All right, so today we're gonna talk about give me some space, and we ain't got to be rude about it, but sometimes there comes a time where you need some space. So I put a little subtopic in there, but I ain't gonna tell y'all about it right now. I'm gonna tell y'all in a minute. So y'all go ahead and share this. Share this. Just hit the share button. You can like and you can also comment. So we know that as believers and Christians, when our daily lives are what we make it, right? They say we're in charge of our own destiny. So being that we're in charge of our own destiny, we have to figure out what works for us, what doesn't work for us. But now, because we are in this world, a world that we know we didn't make, a world that we know that blessings to you, Mary, a world that we know that we were born into. We have to also reverence the Holy Spirit. We have to reverence our God, and his son, Jesus Christ, who is our mediator, when it comes to him anyway. So I came from Philippians 2:4. And out of the New King James Version, it says, let each of you look out not only for his own interests, but also for the interests of others. So in this work, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to make sure that we're doing this in the interest of others and not our own interests. Remember, we gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it. Trust me, because I wanted to push it out there and bring it back around. So because not everyone is called to certain works. Now, even though if we have Christ-like features of Jesus Christ, that does basically serving others. That doesn't mean that all of us can do that. That doesn't mean that all of us are called to do that. You got to really have the compassion and the passion, a compassionate heart to do that type of work, to put somebody else's affairs, somebody else's problems and issues over your own. So as a matter of fact, without and with knowing, we gonna choose ourselves and our families first. So 9 times out of 10, while you're out there doing the work, you're gonna choose yourself. You're gonna choose yourself. You're gonna choose your family first. But I got a question. I wrote down a couple of questions because I want y'all to think about these questions as I go through this. How many of us will and can testify that they can put others' affairs ahead of their own, right? How many of us can say we're doing this out of unselfishness and the kindness of our hearts because it's Bible and we're doing it without motives? How many of us right now have given to someone less fortunate than ourselves? How many of us are doing the work, basically? How many of us can say there have been times of weariness in good doing, and not that tiredness from working all day, that tiredness from being weary and well doing because you're actually looking out for others' affairs. That means putting yourself over others, right? So I ask these questions because people who give themselves freely to the work tend not to care for themselves. They sometimes forget about self-care, and I wrote a whole lot of stuff down that was in my mind because I know I talk fast and sometimes I forget. So if I keep looking down, that's because I'm reading my notes. So they don't mentally check in and they become the person to go to. They forget about household duties. Basically, they lose themselves in the work. We forget everything around us. Sometimes we forget we got children at home, especially when they're old enough to take care of themselves. We'll get sucked all the way into the work. It is a different type of drain. It is. But watch this. Therefore, when you got people like that, and these are people that don't ask for space, but at some point you're gonna have to tell people to give you some space. They get burnt out, they get stressed out, and they become empty. Now, watch this: burnout. It has 2 different meanings. One for mechanical, but this one is for talking about us, our physical and our mental. It says burnout is physical or mental collapse caused by overwork or stress, reduced to nothing, right? We're talking not just in our daily lives or our careers, but we're also talking in ministry as well. Ministry can be consuming, right? That's why it is a call of God. Ministry is a call of God. And anything you do, whether I was in the community or not, it's a call of God. You got to be called to it. So it's a call of God that we get, that we give ourselves, our time and our resources and energy to that type of work that comes with heavenly rewards. You can read Mark 9:41 later, right? So a great question to ask ourselves if we're consumed, if we're getting burnt out, is, do I know for certain that God called me into this? Do I know for certain if God called me into this ministry? You have to ask yourself that. Because when you feel drained and you feel overworked, it ain't because you're tired. It's because you're putting so much of yourself in it. It's because you keep giving yourself to others and not even worried about anything else. It's because you keep jumping. Soon as somebody say they need resources, somebody need help, you don't want to jump into it. Do you know for certain that God called you to that ministry? Because if not, that's why you can get burnt out. See, when God calls you to something, we don't there's it's a thin line between getting burnt out and then just doing what you're supposed to do because it's what you're called to do. So you're not stressed out, you're not burdened and things of that sort, right? So, in other words, so that's the question. Do I know for certain that God called me into this ministry? Okay. In other words, do I fit? So, in the very thing that you're putting your hands to, that you're saying is stressing you out, that you're saying is causing you to have burnout, that's physically and mentally draining you, is it a fit for where God is taking you? Okay. Is it a fit? We can't allow enthusiasm or need, or because this is my friend, to place us in a place that we weren't called to, a ministry that we weren't called to, especially when you're not suited for it, right? Sometimes people take on ministries that God has not gifted them to fulfill. In other words, it's the exact reason why you get burnt out. This is the exact reason why you cast your swine to the pearls, your pearls to the swine. Hey Denise, how you doing? Hey, if y'all just coming on, y'all go ahead and share this. So I just wanted to break down burnout. I wanted to write that down because I love that definition. Also, when a person gives themselves more than they really more than they get back, they no longer know how to recharge. You no longer know how to recharge, and then you'll keep going even though it's hurting you. So you'll keep putting yourself out there even though you know you're helping is hurting you. Even though you know you're helping is taking hold of your mindset. Hey, Dimity, hey, Ashley. So this person also gives away their courage and they walk away discouraged. Anybody ever felt like that? Like you pouring out, Denise, you ever felt like that, Denise? That you've given so much of yourself, given so much of your courage to everybody else that you the one walk away discouraged? Y'all need to get y'all some space. Get you some space. Only way God can restore you is if you move back from that which has mentally drained you, physically drained you, burnt you out, so that he can restore you back, or so that he can give you direction that you're supposed to be going in. Because remember, I said sometimes we put our hands to ministries and to things that God has not given us the gift to fulfill. We're not even suited for it. But we out there running ourselves crazy trying to help everybody. And sometimes we hurting ourselves. That's just a flip-flop to it. Because when you are called to it, you got to know when to get that space. You got to know when you can get you some space, right? So now watch this. This person then wonders when someone will come see about them. Anybody ever wonder when somebody will come see about you? Like you, the person, like you, like you keep running and running and running, and you know you doing what you called to do, but ain't nobody coming to see about you. Now you need a shoulder to lean on. Now you need somebody to cry to. Now you need somebody to vent to. But instead of that happening, they still looking for you for resources. Oh, girl, you'll be all right. You're supposed to be the strong one. Oh, this too shall pass, girl. You got to know that God is, and you better than that. You educating people. You're a mentor. So come on, you can snap back. Hey, there comes a time where everybody needs some space. There comes a time when that strong person needs somebody to lean on. Quit thinking that people like myself and others who are strong-minded, who get out there and work and do the work, don't need somebody to lean on, don't need somebody to pray for us, don't need somebody to speak a word to us, don't need somebody to lift us up when we fall, don't need somebody to give us some strength. Don't think that we don't need that. Your brother and sister supposed to come and lean on you for help. If they thirsty, you're supposed to give them something to drink. If they hungry, you're supposed to feed them. But don't keep looking for the giver to keep giving, because now the giver needs. You understand what I'm saying? And God will bless that person. Now watch this. This person is already feeling down. They will get up and spring into action when someone needs assistance. Yes. This person needs always take a back seat to others' needs. Yes, but this person also needs, so you need you some space. Most of the time, this person needs a Peter in their life. Somebody say, I need a Peter. Type that in. I need a Peter. Somebody say, I need a Peter in my life to see it, to see to it that that happens. Some of y'all need a Peter to come to just kick everybody out the room so that he can pray for you, so that this person could get will strength back into you, help you recharge, right? So now watch this. I'm gonna give y'all a small testimony. 2017, and I've taken I take the flu shot every single year. 2017 in December, I took the flu shot. It never backfired on me. Never backfired on me. Right? Okay, so now check this. I it was April of 2018 that I came down with the flu. I didn't know it was the flu at first. The first day I was home, my fever was 102. Then it went to 104. So I went to the hospital. Now I was at the hospital for about 3 hours. The lady stuck some stuff up my nose, told me it was the flu. Lady didn't really give me anything, just sent me back home and told me to stay on fluids and to rest. Went back home, laid in the bed. Now I don't took the flu shot now. Went back home and laid in the bed. Laid in the bed, and overnight my fever went up. I was at 108, and I was like, whoa, like whoa. So 108, right? And I managed to pick up my phone on the side of the bed after I was puking up, and after a while, I don't even know what I was puking up. I did I it was I don't know what it was. Something was coming out my body that wasn't even in my body. I was drained. I was drained. So I sent a text to my pastor then, and I told her, I said, please pray for me because I don't think I'm going to make it through the night. So yes, I did. I counted myself out. I said, I don't think I'm going to make it through the night. I was weak. My baby girl got me up and got me back to the hospital. I got to the hospital that morning. It was 4 days in the morning. I got to the hospital that morning. And now mind you, before any of this was happening, my oldest sister, Kenyatta, she was and if anybody know me, they know my oldest sisters, they call her Kenyatta Huntley, but that was always my ride or die chick. That's my baby, that's my big sister. She's 2 years older than me, but yep. And she used to always tell me, because she would be out in the community with me, you need to get you some rest. You do too much. You do a whole lot. Just get you some rest. You need some space from all of this. That's where I got this topic from. God gave this to me years ago, but I'm preaching it today because somebody needs to know that you need to get you some space before you tap out, before you collapse. So my sister told me that, and I didn't listen, and ended up sick. Normally, my body can fight off things, but I ain't never had the flu like that. So I was trying to wonder what is going on. So I went to the hospital, and I had to, after I got back there, I got there 4 days in the morning. They made me sit on the gurney. No room, out in the hallway. I sat on that gurney from that morning to 11 p.m. that night. I got worse and worse. The same lady doctor, same white lady doctor, and I don't mean to say white like that, but it was a white lady doctor. She came back and she stuck the thing up my nose again and confirmed again that I have the flu, but I hadn't got worse. So she going around helping everybody, and I'm laying there. Now I got friends, family, everybody coming in to see me. I'm balled up. I got all these bruises over my body, these purple bruises on my body. Like, what is going on? Like, I couldn't move my body. It felt like a semi truck hit me, and I was just laying there. I was lifeless, and after a while, I couldn't even talk no more. So she came back to me. And she said she was going to send me home. But wait a minute, let me backtrack for a second. A friend of mine that I went to school with at Nova High, a friend of mine came down, and he works in X-ray. No, he works in the CAT scan. And he says, wait a minute, you still here? And he saw me, and he said, oh, no, no, no. He said, give me 30 minutes. You're gonna be in the room, right? I don't know what he went to do, but he must have went and got another doctor because this man, doctor, everything was blurry. So all I saw was blurriness. And this doctor, okay, it was a white man doctor, yes. He said to her, I heard him say, you're not sending her home. You're sending her to a room, and you're doing it now. So by the time I looked up, I was in the room. Now they took tests, all that. When the nurse came, when the doctor came to me, the doctor told me I had the new strain of influenza. It had just killed 12 people the same year, only months before April. 12 people, 2 adults, 12 children. The new strain. This stuff is real, y'all. And she said your body is weak. Your it's not fighting. They took all these tests. She said your tests come back negative, but you're weak. I was weak. Now I stayed in the hospital for about a week. I got all my movement back. Thank God for delivering and saving. Yes. But after I got out, my sister told me one, she ripped me a new one. She said, carry your behind home and get in the bed. She made me go home and get in the bed. I listened to her because she was my Peter. The entire time I was at home sick, she called to check on me, but she made sure nobody else bothered me. She made sure that nobody come. She even, my children, I don't know if she had even spoke to them, but they didn't even bother me. My sister basically nursed me back to health through the phone. Cause again, she said I scared the heck out of her too. So you got to get you some space. All right. Now watch this. Now that was my Peter. Y'all need y'all a Peter so that Peter could push everybody out of the room. I said Peter because now this comes from, and it's just a small story with a big impact. Yes, Diminy. Dorcas, and read it in your own time. I gave it to somebody yesterday because she said she was overwhelmed because she always helping folks and this and that. Well, this is for all y'all overworkers. Dorcas, or they call it Tabitha, Acts chapter 9, 36 through 41, or actually 42. Tabitha, which AKA was Dorcas or Dorcas. Forgive me for pronouncing the name wrong. Peter will cut that ear off. Yep. And my sister would have done that. Yes, she would have. Tabitha was a follower of Christ. She served others with compassion. She made clothes for the widows, which means she was a giver. She was humble. She served people, right? Now, this is what happened. And I'm going to read this for y'all. I'm so sorry, but let me just read it so that y'all can see where I'm coming from. So Acts chapter 9, 36. Hey, Elder, how you doing? There go my elder, y'all. She on. Thanks for typing that in, Elder. So you got Acts, let's see, chapter 9 and starting at verse 36. Now watch this. It says, and I'm going to read from the King James Version. It says, now there was at Joppa a certain disciple named Tabitha, which by interpretation is called Dorcas. This woman was full of good works and all alms deeds, which she did. It came to pass in those days that she was sick and died. Whom they had washed, they laid her, whom when they had washed, they laid her in the upper chamber. And for as much as Lydda was nigh to Joppa, and the disciples had heard that Peter was there, they sent unto him 2 men, desiring him that he would not delay to come to them. Then Peter arose and went to them. When he was come, they brought him into the upper chamber, and all the widows stood by him, weeping and showing him the coats and the garments that Dorcas had made while she was with them. So they was reminiscing about the great work that she did. You know, when you fall out and you die, okay, because it could be spiritually, it could be naturally, it could be because you burnt out and tired. When you collapse, when you ain't got no more in you, the people you help out there reminisce about what you did, but they can't help you. You understand what I'm saying? They can't help. That's why I say you need your Peter. You need your Peter. So they was reminiscing. Well, they were showing the coats and the garments what Dorcas made while she was with them. But Peter put them all forth and kneeled down. Peter put them out. He put everybody out and he kneeled down and prayed. And turning him to the body, he said, Tabitha, rise. Tabitha, rise. And when she saw Peter, she sat up. And he gave her his hand and lifted her up. And when she called the saints and the widows, he presented her alive. And it was known throughout Joppa, and many believed in the Lord. So a lot of people didn't believe in it, but when Peter did that great work, they started believing. Now the people of Joppa was believing that God is who he say he is. They started believing in the Lord. But I said that because Peter raised her to life again. God gave her a gift. She used it. She worked on behalf of the people. She saw needs and she fulfilled them. She didn't wait on others to find opportunities for her to continue the great work, for her to continue to serve others, for her to give off herself more than she could even imagine, for her to be resourceful to those that were in need. She didn't wait for people to find opportunities for her. She went and found opportunities because of the women that flocked to her. She had a very humbling spirit. She was very compassionate, but she also knew what they needed. She also had a gift. So what she did was she started making coats for them because that's what they needed. She started making coats for them. She recognized those needs and she took the initiative to go ahead and help. She was an impactful person. When you're out there, you're and working, you're an impactful person. But just like I said, you got to figure out what it is you need to be doing. Because again, in ministry, God calls you. Man can ask you, but God calls you. So if God didn't call you to the ministry of help, of serving others, don't get out there and think you can just because you want to be in pictures or because you want somebody to pat you on the back or because you want somebody to say you look good or you want your name in newspapers and stuff like that. That is something to deal with. That's a lot of work. You taking on not just people, but you taking on spirits. And if God didn't call you to it and he didn't gift you with the tools for that, and you can't fulfill that because he didn't gift you, then you need to take a back seat. You need to set that down. You need to go somewhere with that because you will kill yourself. It's dangerous to go into a work God has not called you to. It's dangerous to go into a work he has not called you to. Remember what I said? That we get burnt out, especially in the ministry. And trust me, helping, giving, that's a ministry. We get burnt out because when you're doing that type of ministry, it is consuming. People are going to look to you. You are for right then and there, you're going to be their super savior. You're going to be the person that they need to come to for the resources. That's why ministry is a call of God. That we give ourselves and our time, our resources, and our energy to the work so that we can reap the heavenly reward. But only when God calls us. So again, if you're burnt out in something that is physically and mentally taking you over, go back to that question I asked. Do you know for certain that God called you into that ministry? Because if you do not know for certain that God called you to that ministry, that means that ministry does not fit. It does not fit. Somebody type that in. Somebody say this ministry don't fit. This ministry don't fit. Because if God ain't called you to it, that ministry not gonna fit. That particular place that you're going into, it's not gonna fit. In other words, you're gonna be doing something that is just you. It's just you, right? So now watch this. She didn't impact through an act of leadership where everybody was a witness. What I just said. What I just said. Y'all want that pat on that back for going out there doing the great work to people, and that ministry don't even fit you. You burnt out, you tired. Now you're mad because people still calling you. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, and the baby girl need to be taken down to the police station because she just got kicked out the house. You tell, why they calling me? This and that. Because you're the person that put yourself out there into a ministry that was not fitful for you. You put yourself somewhere that God didn't call you to. See, when God calls you to it and you overwork yourself, you got to get you some space. But if God ain't call you to that, you burn yourself out. I told you I'm looking at it in 2 different ways, y'all, because it go 2 different ways, right? She didn't impact through an act of leadership where everybody was a witness, but through humbleness, the way she served people. See, you don't have to put yourself in a ministry that God didn't call you to. You don't have to put yourself in a ministry that God didn't call you to. All you have to do is be humble in the way you serve people. All you have to do, ministry, business is all the same, right? It's all the same. Now, why did I go to Tabitha? I'll tell you. From reading, we know that she served and was the go-to person when someone was in need. She was resourceful, she was humble, she was compassionate, and she was generous. Okay, just like Dorcas, we often find ourselves in this place of always giving but never receiving. Always helping when helping others is hurting us. It's making us empty. But then when we get sick or tired and we give out, and instead of the people around us who always benefiting from us helping them, your ministry is asleep. From us helping them, they know where to be found, right? We lifeless, but they reminiscing. Huh? We lifeless, they reminiscing, but they don't know how to help. They never thanked you for helping them. They never thanked you. You helped them come up, and then they walked away. So you helped them you helped them get what they need to come up. Then they walked away from you and act like you didn't even exist. They ain't never thank you. They ain't give you a call to give you an update. Say, I'm still doing okay. I thank you so much. So appreciate you. It was because of you and the God in you that got me where I'm at. You pouring into people, but they're not pouring back into you. But God never forgets your labor. He doesn't forget your ministry. See, this is God now. He said, I never forget your labor. I never forget your ministry. And he doesn't. Instead, he sends a Peter because he sent Yada to me. He sends a Peter. He sends him to show everyone else that God cares. When Peter shows up, that's your space. That's where you need your space at. When Peter come in, get you some space. You got to tell everybody. If you ain't strong enough to tell him, Peter gonna tell him. But you might want to tell him because Peter was bad mamma jamma. You know what I'm saying? He was rough around the edges. You know, Peter tell you like it is, and then cut your ear off if he didn't like it. So you might want to tell people you need space. If you can't do it, they'll tell them because that's how Yacht was. She ain't doing that today. Lay in the bed. Get in the bed. And I ain't playing with her. She was big sis. She got a powerful punch. So when Peter shows up, that's your space. Get you some space. Peter sent everybody out, all those spectators and the ones who only wanted to benefit from you, everybody who wanted to benefit from everything he was doing. Your Peter sent everybody out and keep asking you when you gonna be well, when you gonna get back at it. Peter said, don't ask me when she gonna get back at it. I need to pray for her right now that she get back up, that she rise again. So I'm gonna need all y'all to give us some space. Give us some space. See, Peter ran over there to do that because he knew who she was. Everybody knew who Tabitha was. Everybody know who Elder Serena is. Everybody know who Dimony is. Everybody know who you is, Denise. Everybody know who you is, Jess. They know who you is. And we give ourselves freely. We're not asking for nothing back. We're not asking for no money. We ain't asking for nothing in return. It's because when God called you to it, you lose you. And sometimes you just need space. Sometimes you just need space. Chandra, what's up, my babes? Queen sister. So see, Dorcas needed that space so God could restore her. Now I'm telling you why you need space. Because now you need God to restore back unto you. Now you need God to restore what you've been parched of. You need him to restore, give you that recharge so that you can go back and do it again, right? Now watch this. You're not restored after giving so much of you because you're still trying to please everybody. She realized she couldn't please everybody. All she was the humble person, and who she did for is who she did for. People saw her works. She didn't go tell her works. See, that's the difference in being somebody who is a humble servant, who is walking in the ministry that God gave to them, instead of somebody taking on a ministry that you don't even fit in. When you don't fit in a ministry, you try to get everybody's attention so that everybody can see you. So everybody could pat you on the back. So everybody could say, that's her, you know? But when God calls you to it, like he called Tabitha to it, he suits you for it. You're well suited for it. Yeah, you're going to get burnt out because sometimes that's just who you are. Because you're not worried about you. You're not worried about the fact that you got this going on over here. You got that going. Your needs are no longer important when you are a true servant to the ministry God has given you. When you are true to it, your needs are no longer important. So watch this. You're not restored because you're too busy to make time for God. So you got to make some time for God. I'm trying to help somebody out there. I know you do the work. I know you feed the homeless. I know that you out there giving free food and clothing to people. I know that you're trying to do this and I know that you're trying to do that, but baby, you need you some space. At some point, you got to go and you got to get recharged again. At some point, you got to go give God the praise for the ministry that he's given unto you. You got to give God the praise. See, we get caught up and we got to make sure we're never too busy to praise him. And that's what the song say. Make sure you're never too busy to give God the glory, because it's because of him, not because of you. It's because of him. So when you patting yourself on the back, you giving yourself the glory. You exalting yourself above God. The wrong thing to do. You know that's not Bible. And you know that's a sin. Watch this. In this story, Peter was saying that sometimes you got to put everybody out and allow God to refurbish you. Now I'm about to give y'all some examples. Watch this. Can a tree continue to bear fruit without rest? I'm just giving y'all some examples. Because in y'all space, this is what God is trying to do. He's trying to restore y'all. A tree would not continue to bear fruit if it don't have rest, right? The ground won't continue to yield a harvest if you don't replenish the soil. You cannot continue to serve people if you're burnt out physically and mentally. You can't. You have got to let God replenish and restore you. Get you some space. Where your Peter at? Where your Peter? I like to think that Kenyatta's still my Peter, because I talked to her the other day and she said she still says she hope I'm getting rest. Get you a Peter. So he could throw everybody out the room. And let me tell you something. And this is just me. I'm not taking nothing away from the Bible. I'm not adding anything. But I believe that Peter was the example because y'all know Peter was hardcore. Y'all know he was rough around the edges. So he was that example that you can't do it, Tabitha. I got it. Hey, I need all y'all to clear out the room. Clear out the room. Don't worry about it. I got it. Clear out the room. You understand what I'm saying? Where your Peter at? Huh? You need your Peter. Because where you can't tell people you need space because you feel like God called me to it and this is what I'm supposed to do. No, 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 no. Sometimes, again, you got to put yourself in a place. Go to your quiet closet. What I said here? I said your body dehydrates if there's no water or electrolytes to replenish it, right? You can be strong as you feel, but at some point you need to tell everybody, give me some space. Why? Because in that space, watch this. I'm trying to help somebody. In that space, in the presence of God, you can be recharged. You can be refurbished and raised up again, how he raised Tabitha up. Y'all read it. Read it. It says she collapsed and died. And those spectators and all those people that she was helping out, they started reminiscing about her great works, but they couldn't help her. She needed some space. She's doing a whole lot for all y'all. Y'all got to give her some space. You're doing a whole lot for the community. You're doing a whole lot. You're feeding people. You're out there. You're canvassing. You're doing these events. You need some space before you burn out. Denise, you got to demand that space. And when God raised you back up, because only he can, then you can go back out. But don't miss what I said, because if God didn't call you to the ministry, if you feel like you burnt out and that's it, and you just feel like you burnt out, and that the ministry that you're doing is very consuming and you don't know what to do, again, and I feel like you should type this in is because you need to be certain. Ask yourself that question. Do I know for certain that God called me to this ministry? Do I know for certain that God called me to feed the homeless? It's wearing me down. Did I only come out here because my friends was out here? Did I only come out here because the newspaper reporters was going to be out here? Did I only come out here because I know that I can get something free out here too? Motives. Remember, the intent was there, but the heart for it was not right. So ask yourself, do you know for certain you're called to that ministry, that business, that place that keeps burning you out, that keeps taking your physical and your mental out? Did God really call you? Huh? Did he really call you to preach? Because if he really calls you to preach, then you know that people going to reject you and talk about you. You can't keep going back to God complaining, man, Lord, these people, man, Lord, these people, man, I ain't got time for that. I be gonna curse somebody out, such and such and such, da 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 da. But did God really call you? He might have just told you to pray for somebody. He didn't told you to preach to nobody. When you are burnt out, and if you're not called to it, again, in other words, ask yourself. Not only do you know for certain if God called you to that ministry, but ask yourself, does it fit? Do you even fit? Do you fit? Does what you're doing fit? Hmm? You know when you go to the store and you buy a pair of pants and those pair of pants too big, what you do? You take them off and you change them. Some of y'all need to put down these ministries that God didn't call y'all to and change up what you're doing. Go back and ask him what it is that you're really supposed to be doing, because you're messing up folks' lives. You're messing up folks' lives, and I promise you, that's not good. But if you walk in the way God called you to walk, like Tabitha, you need you some space. After you have poured yourself out over and over, with the worries of this life, the children, the career. You need to pull back and go into your secret place. And you need to ask God to water those barren and parched places in you. You need to ask God to water those barren places that have been parched in you. So get you some space. And make sure when you get you some space, you seek God in that space. Your rest is not for you to just lay down so you can go back out there and continue to fit somewhere you don't fit. Your rest is for you to get you some space so you can go in that closet so that God can replenish you again. I needed some space. When my body couldn't fight off a flu that it's always fought off, when the doctor told me that my body was very, very tired, like my body was weak, I've never had bruises on my body. I ain't never seen nothing like it in all my life. But for the entire week, I slept. I was tired. And I wasn't out there doing something that God didn't call me to. I just didn't know how to say no. Some of y'all got to learn how to say no. Some of y'all got to learn how to, you got a certain space. This is your space over here. That's the space you give to the community. That's the space you give to the ministry. This is the space you give to the children. This is the space that you give to the husband and the wife and the career. This is the space that you give to the boyfriend or the girlfriend. This is the space. You got to start saying no so people will not get into that space. Oh my goodness. It took a quadruple heart bypass at the age of 44 for me to learn to demand my space. Come on, Bishop. Come on. Somebody have to learn how to say no. You got to learn how to say no. You got to put some, that's right. I pay homage to you, Pastor Matthews. You got to learn how to say no. You need some balance. And in this sensitive world, people talk about space all the time. So when you know you're going through something here, you got to tell everybody, just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. I need just a little space right now. You ain't no good to people continuing to push forward when you're tired, when you're overworked, when you're overused. You're no good to people. You ain't no good to yourself. If God called you to something and you are steady ignoring him when he says get rest, you steady ignoring him when he say seek my face, when he say, okay, I need you need to come back into my presence. Because if you work in ministry, God's talking to you. And at some point, you got to stop doing all that ministry, all that. And you need to go back and you need to seek God. You need to get that, you need that space and you need to go back. And now you need, Lord, whoo, hallelujah. Lord, I need you. Lord, I need you to pour back into me, God. I need you to give me back the strength. And continue to pray for the people that he's got attached to you. Continue to pray for the work that he has you in. Continue to pray for the ministry. Because only God can pull you back. Only God can replenish you. So, in my closing, tell everybody around you, give me some space. He will push you into an early grave while you're pushing them to greatness. Yes, he will. Thanks, Howard. How you doing, Thelma? Get you some space. And remember this. Ministry can be consuming, but if God didn't call you to it and you find yourself in a place of weariness, you find yourself cannot pull back to your regular self. You find yourself mentally and physically drained. Ask yourself, are you certain that God called you to that ministry? Is that ministry a fit? Is this business a fit? Is this business over there a fit? Is this work a fit? Does it fit? Because if it don't fit, you're wasting a whole lot of time. You're wasting a whole lot of time. And then make sure you got your Peter. Okay. Make sure you got your Peter. I'm sure Bishop won't mind me saying this, but I'm sure Elder it's Peter. Oh my goodness. I'm sure that's your Peter, Bishop. You gonna get you some space. They just ain't gonna keep overworking you. And it's not a bad thing, y'all. It's not a bad thing. It just means that sometimes you gotta stop being so busy doing the work and give God some of that time. If God blessed you with it, he deserves some of your time. He deserves some of that praise. He deserves that glory. If God put it in you and he gave that ministry to you, he deserves the praise. He deserves the worship and the glory. Give him some time. Quit overworking yourself. At some point, you're going to have questions for him anyways. Use that time so that you're not burnt out. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I see y'all next Friday for another segment of Friday Straight Transparency. Y'all have been the best. Y'all share this so somebody else can learn how to say no and get them and learn how to demand their space so that their body doesn't shut down, so that your mental doesn't shut down. And I'm talking about physically, your body physically and mentally, so that you don't shut down. Get you a Peter and make sure you get you some space. Peace.